we believe in the right of all individuals to transact and communicate freely, privately, securely, and without fear of censorship or exploitation.
Give more control back to people.
Big data, AI, really controls the future. That's information about people's identity, biometric data, commercial data, intellectual data, health data.
Trust minimization. If everyone verifies
Pre-computing
anything, I don't
civilization
have to trust
to a
a central entity.
Not your keys, not your money.
Tens of millions of developers every day are building slick.
And how we fail to decentralize it. And what
It's all of that together in centralized.
Going to transform
The web,
into a decentralized
Web 2.0, mobile web, blockchains, Web 3.0.
terrible dystopian surveillance machines.
My theme is decentralized now. Web3 kind of gave me this spot, and we're going to be talking about decentralizing everything and bringing awareness to the lack of decentralization, the points of centralization that we have to deal with, and hopefully building some kind of open discussion space where people can build on top of that and come up with creative ideas.
I have a passion for decentralized technologies and cryptocurrencies and the possibilities that it opens up to our societies. Fortunately, this community, when the people talk online on online platforms, forums, Reddit, etc., the discussions are not that fruitful. And it appears to me is that when you actually bring the people in person, it's much better.
I am from San Francisco, and I'm the director of something called the Decentralized Web Summit. And it draws people from all different kinds of decentralized technologies. Blockchain for sure, but broader than that. I don't think I would have come to this if I thought it was just your typical blockchain crypto conference.
I was an open source Linux programmer for many years. I got into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Also, I went to the YPG in Syria in the Kurdish militia. I served on the front line fighting against ISIS. My message is about a big idea, what kind of society we can create.
And you know, I'm just going to talk about the history of the web and how we failed to decentralize it. And everyone, including Tim and all of the original founders of the internet, wanted decentralization. They wanted that no trusted third party should be given control of data, and individuals and groups should maintain control of their own data. That's deep in the genetic code of the internet and web. But what happened is that these giant platforms came up and seized control of this data. And we've been fighting this for 10 years.
Everywhere you turn, the web is no longer secure, it's not private, you can censor it so easily, you can manipulate the algorithms. We didn't imagine that this is the way the web was going to be used, that it's being used to manipulate us.
We don't realize how much we depend on a few points of infrastructure that can just be taken out from under you. Like when Catalonia was doing a vote for their own independence in 2017, they relied on mesh nets to access censored internet websites they were using to do the census for voting. So they couldn't vote. The lines were out the door because Spain had censored their internet.
Web3 is a broad movement and a group of associated technologies and people aiming to make the web and the internet more decentralized, verifiable, and secure. The goals of Web3 include trustless infrastructure, removing intermediaries, and giving users power and ownership over their data, identity, security, and transactions.
To me, Web 3.0 is about building a digital infrastructure for individuals to be more protected and to be more empowered. So, it can be financial empowerment, but it can also be putting the user in control of its data. So altogether, it's about protecting the individuals and empowering the individuals.
Technology will be the worst totalitarian that humanity ever experiences, or it could be the greatest liberation in the history of mankind. So we're kind of at that kind of fork in the road right now, and blockchain and this kind of crypto space is kind of like a last holdout or vestige of technology, but it's also a very promising one as well. very long time ago, in London, we had a very big squatted place. Each floor was absolutely massive. And one of the floors, some small part of it, we had our hack lab there, me and my crew of people, and we were working on technology projects. And Gavin was a regular visitor there. So that was before Ethereum, and we were hanging out.
Polkadot is, in many respects, the biggest bet in this ecosystem against chain maximalism. I don't like chain maximalism in general. I consider it a sort of nationalist equivalent of blockchain. And if I can do something helpful for this ecosystem, I would try to convince people that it's really not such a good plan to be so focused on making, on backing one winner above all others. I don't think, even if there were one perfect chain, I don't think it would stay perfect for very long. I consider this kind of maximalism basically just barriers to entry, and barriers to entry generally reduce innovation, and they reduce the fun for technologists like me, and I hope for like you too.
It's really just about individual empowerment and letting communities organize themselves in new ways. That's really the goal. And to do that effectively, you really need to decentralize a lot of the infrastructure that you're building on top of. So otherwise it can just be pulled out from under you.
We want to develop those decentralized applications that replace some of the existing centralized systems, but also centralized applications that are coming to there. Some of the main challenges are that there is still many missing components, so people very much focus on the things that can be easily funded in the space. Things like messaging or tools where you cannot do an ICO for them. It has been hard to get those developed. Also, many teams are working in separations. Rather than building on top of each other's technology, they kind of reinvent every time the whole stack from scratch. Especially in the recent years, there has been a lot of focus on just the protocols without thinking how they will be used in the end by the end user. So, for instance, there were some protocols developed that are very hard to use from a mobile device. And really, if we want to bring the centralized applications to every person, we need to make sure that in the end, those applications will work on users' devices.
And then we have our next speaker, Peter, who will talk about replace the system.
What I see in these conferences is a huge amount of really idealistic young people who are skilled. If we can somehow give some kind of focus for all of those energies, if we can give people some kind of big idea, I think that can be a really effectual power.
We have to build a global movement to create the web that we deserve. And that's going to take technologists, that's going to take artists, that's going to take lawyers and thought leaders. And it's going to take people from every country on this earth. We have a narrow window of time to get this right.
We just had workshop after workshop after discussion. Everything's been radically participatory and inclusive and really fun. And that's the best part because there's so many cool people in this conference.
What I find interesting is sometimes seeing people how they change their opinion over time or got more tolerant over diverse opinions. And I think you can only get compelling results by having people interacting with each other and having discussions, debates, panels.
If two people who thought they really probably disagreed can come together and say, wow, you know what? We're really trying to use this technology for the same vision or agree that there has to be a vision, I think you can change the world.